up and welcome, I'm the one and only West Coast King, and welcome back to Major League 90, where we are talking the Copa America, and specifically for this episode, the United States national team. I'm not even going to talk about any other teams other than the United States for this one, so let's get into it. We're going to talk the semifinal against Argentina, as well as the third place game against Colombia. We lost both of our final games of the tournament, not the way you want to go out, but all things considering, a fourth place finish in this tournament is not too bad. So let's get into this thing. So we're going to start with that semifinal against Argentina. And some things here are going to be said. If you are sensitive to curse words or foul language or very strong opinions against certain people, I would turn the video off now because things are going to get freaking real right here, okay? Things are going to get heated. So going into this game against Argentina in the semifinal on home soil of the Copa America, it was a lose-lose situation, okay? I don't think anyone would have picked the United States, even at full strength, to beat that Argentina team. Not the way that not with the way that Argentina was playing coming in, not given the fact that Argentina is the #1 team in the world and we're ranked 31st, and not especially with the fact that we were missing some of our key players. I would say our most important player of the entire tournament, Jermaine Jones, was suspended. We were also missing Bobby Wood, who's very, very important on the attack, as well as Alejandro Bedoya, who, in my opinion, he's a replaceable player, okay? He's not that important, but the other two were very, very much so. So going into the game, missing those three players, Jurgen Klinsmann had a decision to make. He could either stick with the 4-3-3, bring in replacement players, and just go for it, knowing full well we were probably not going to win that game. I said beforehand we probably have like a 3% chance of winning that game. That was probably too high. It was probably like a 0.5% chance of winning that game. But he didn't. He did not bring in players that were going to give us a chance to win. Instead, he switched from a 4-3-3 to a flat 4-4-2 with Clint Dempsey and Chris Wondolowski up top. Okay, my feelings for Chris Wondolowski aside, and I think they're very well known, I don't like him. Before the tournament, I said he shouldn't be in the team. He doesn't bring anything to the squad. You see him in that game against Argentina, he absolutely didn't do anything. Not really his fault. That was not his type of a game. He had no chance of contributing to the squad in that game. The only thing he did do was pick up the game's only yellow card. That's it. Other than that, he was non-existent, as was Clint Dempsey. But again, it wasn't really those players' fault. It wasn't Wondolowski and Dempsey's fault. It really was the team selection from Jurgen Klinsmann, because with Jermaine Jones out, instead of maybe bringing in the likes of Perry Kitchen, who's a little bit more offensive-minded, I mean, he can at least get forward a little bit, or instead of Bedoya, or with Bedoya out, you could have brought in Darlington Nagbe in the midfield, a very creative player. Instead, like I said, he switched to a 4-4-2 and brought in Kyle Beckerman to play next to Michael Bradley. That's never gonna work. You can't play those two players together. Michael Bradley's best, when he's at his most effective, he's a holding midfielder for the national team and plays out of the back. He picks passes out, playing out of the midfield. He does not go forward. When he goes forward, that's when his decision-making becomes a problem. He's hesitant, he makes bad plays, loses the ball, makes bad touches. I mean, he's just abysmal when he gets forward. And with Beckerman in there, he was forced to go forward and try to play the Jermaine Jones role. He can't do that. That's why he looked so bad, and a lot of people were picking on him saying he looked awful. That's why. It's not his fault. He had to do that. He had to try to play that role, and he can't. So right from the outset, I mean, we were just doomed. We were doomed, and the 4-0 scoreline is exactly what I expected when I saw that starting 11. It was just never going to work, and Jurgen Klinsmann said after the fact that we showed them too much respect. No, we didn't show them too much respect. Maybe a little bit on the field. The players even looked like they were a little bit afraid and didn't want to press too much up on Argentina. They didn't want to take it to Argentina. But it all started with that squad selection. Jurgen Klinsmann didn't give them any confidence on the field because he didn't pick an attacking team. He picked a team that was going to sit back and try to defend against Argentina. And when has that ever worked? Not against this Argentinian squad. They could have brought in the likes of Aguero and Di Maria off the bench. That's how good they were. They didn't even play those players. They never even saw the field. I mean, we were doomed. That squad selection was just, it was awful. And I give credit where credit is due, okay? I think Jurgen Klinsmann is a fantastic teacher of the game. When players go away to the national team, oftentimes they come back better players. A prime example of that is DeAndre Yedlin, and I know that DeAndre Yedlin's my boy. I always like talking about DeAndre Yedlin. But look at what happened with him going into the World Cup. He was a young up-and-coming player for the Sounders. He goes away to the World Cup with the national team, comes back a very, very improved player, a more complete right back. So much so impressive was he at the World Cup under the tutelage of Jurgen Klinsmann that he actually gets a contract at Tottenham and now is playing in England. That's the kind of ability that Jurgen Klinsmann has. Where Jurgen Klinsmann is severely lacking, and I would call straight up horseshit, is he cannot manage games. Squad selection, decision making in games, he can't do it. He's awful at it. He's fucking awful at it. And I'm so sick of the United States going into big games against big teams and just shitting the bed because we never had a chance. We just never had a chance. And it was the same thing against Argentina. We never stood a chance. Another example of this bad decision making, and maybe it's just his ego instead. That's another thing where I would say Jurgen Klinsmann has a major problem. His ego is so inflated, I'm not even sure how they have room for it on the bench. But either way, Brad Guzan never should have started for the United States. And it's Jurgen Klinsmann's idea of when you take time off, take time away from the national team, he wants to punish those players and send a message to the rest of the United States that it has to be all about, soccer all the time. You can't take time off. You always have to be going for it 100%. Tim Howard decided to take a year off from the national team, and Klinsmann punished him. And Guzan got absolutely exposed time and time again. I'll say Guzan is not bad when it comes to stopping shots. Very good, actually, against stopping shots. It's the rest of the time. It's those balls that come into the box where he's not sure whether or not he should go for them or stay back. And like 75% of the time, he'll take a step forward and then stop and get caught in no man's land, leading to easy opportunities. And most of the time against competition like this, easy goals. And it happened against Argentina for the first goal, and from there it was just all downhill, and it just snowballed and got worse and worse and worse. But either way, Tim Howard should have been the starter from the outset. He played fantastic coming in against Colombia, and whether or not that was Klinsmann realizing that, okay, Guzan's not that good, maybe we need to change here, or maybe it was just him saying, okay, we'll put Tim Howard out there for now, give him a game in this tournament. I don't know, but either way, Tim Howard never should have been on the bench. He should have been the starting goalkeeper from the start of this tournament. And even if you want to make those kinds of statements and punish players, okay, do it. Go ahead and punish players, but you can't do it in tournaments. He did the same thing with Landon Donovan, left him off the World Cup squad. You can't go into tournaments and not choose and play your best players. You can't do that. It hurts the team more than it sends a message. I mean, it just pisses people off. Why would you do that? Why would you doom your team just to make a statement or to nurse your own ego? I really don't understand that kind of decision making. But wait, we're not done with Jurgen Klinsmann, all right? I'm not done with him. His stance on the MLS and continually ripping into it doesn't help anything either. What exactly is he trying to accomplish with that? Whole stance on the MLS isn't good enough for players to play in. What is he going to accomplish there? Is he trying to take talent out of the MLS and move them overseas? Because that's really the only thing he could possibly accomplish. That doesn't help the United States. It doesn't help the MLS. It doesn't help the national team because it feels like players, if they decide to stay in the MLS, such as Jordan Morris, if they decide to stay at home and play in the MLS, it feels they're going to feel like it's going to hurt their national team chances. And whether or not Morris deserved to be picked for this team, and I think he should have been picked instead of Chris Wondolowski. He couldn't have done any worse than Wondo against Argentina. But I mean, it feels like if you stay in the MLS, it's going to hurt your national team chances because it goes against what Jurgen Klinsmann believes, and Klinsmann's proven time and time again that if you do that and go against his beliefs, you're going to get punished for it. Whatever you do that he doesn't agree with, you will be punished for it, and that's not fair to anyone involved. That, again, just hurts the players, hurts the league, hurts the national team, it hurts everyone, and it's just so idiotic to do. It just doesn't make sense. But moving on now into the third place game against Colombia. For the second time in this tournament, we took on the number 3 team in the world, ranking-wise in FIFA, Colombia, and we were in the game. We were in the game. The first game of the tournament, we played Colombia, lost 2-0. I thought, we were in that game, could have gotten something from it. We didn't deserve a 2-0 loss. The goals they score, I've been over that before. One was very, very good. Their first goal was fantastic. Second goal was a bit lucky. Other than that, we dominated possession. We had plenty of opportunities, just couldn't really create the quality chances we needed to put the goal in the back of the net. In this third place game, we did. We fully, in my opinion, fully outplayed Colombia. should have not only at least been in the game, which we were, we should have won that game. I mean, we were the better team. I don't see what the big deal is with Colombia, but we just couldn't get it done. So we go out of the tournament in 4th place. You know, we didn't score a goal in our last 2 games, but the finish overall, I would say, is acceptable. And I say that because the 3 teams we finished behind were Argentina, ranked number 1 in the world, Colombia number 3, and Chile number 5. Could you say really that we should have finished ahead of any of those teams? Probably not, based on world rankings and how good those teams are. But the performances, especially that last one against Colombia, left you wondering, could we have? Could we have beaten Colombia? I really do think in that last game, we should have beaten them. We could have. It was there. We just could not get it done. And that didn't have anything to do with team selection. That was just the team just flat out could not beat Colombia when it came down to it. And it was a little bit disappointing. Honestly, if I could have made one change to that starting 11, I would have liked to have seen Darlington Nagbe start just because he really hadn't been given a chance in the tournament. And I thought he could have added something to the team. But honestly, I can't really say one way or another that you should change that starting 11 because it performed very, very well. Again, just couldn't score that goal to get the equalizer. I don't know. It was a little bit disappointing. But again, a 4th place finish against those types of teams isn't that bad. But anyway, that is going to be it for this episode. The final of the Copa America is tonight. Let me know what your thoughts are. Who's going to win that one? It's a rematch of last year's Copa America final. Argentina and Chile should be a really interesting and very entertaining match. I can't wait for it. I hope you're excited for it as well. Also, let me know what your thoughts are on Jurgen Klinsmann. Should he continue to be the coach of the national team? In my opinion, I'm leaning more towards no, but maybe let him get through the World Cup qualifiers. Let's just see a little bit longer with Jurgen Klinsmann and then make a decision after that. But either way, that is going to be it for this episode. If you did enjoy it, make sure to let me know by leaving a like below. Subscribe if you're new, and I will see you when we come back for some more Major League 90.